Welcome to WorkCompTalk, a podcast dedicated to all of the injured workers here in the state of California. I'm your host, Carmen Ramirez, and joining me today is none other than someone very special from our intake team. Her name is Laura Tunon. Laura, welcome to WorkCompTalk. How are you?
Hey, Carmen, thanks so much for having me. I'm great. I'm a little bit nervous, but excited.
Don't be nervous. I promise you this is going to be painless, number one. And number two, so informative. There is so much information to be shared out there with people who've been injured. And what better than to get our intake department to kind of help us understand what should injured workers expect when they hire an attorney? And that's exactly the topic we have for today, which, by the way, happens to be sponsored by Pacific Workers, the lawyers for injured workers. If you've been injured at work, make sure you hit them up. You can find all of the information online at pacificworkers.com. You can also follow them on social media. And while you're on social media, make sure you hit the subscribe button to our YouTube and, of course, the notification for the bell. That way, when we do upload new content, you get notified and you have firsthand the information that truly does help injured workers. Those tips with Bilal, which is not joining us today, but it's okay because we have Laura. And without further ado, Laura, I'm going to dive straight into today's topic, which I think is one of the biggest questions a lot of injured workers have, and that is, what am I going to expect when I get the phone and when I call an attorney? So what's the very first reason or very first step people go through when they hire an attorney? Like, obviously, we know they call you guys, but in your side, being in the intake specialist, what are some of the reasons people decide to finally call and get help? Tell us a little bit about that.
Usually they find themselves frustrated because they don't know what to do. They don't understand strange paperwork from the insurance. Who is the adjuster? Who's that? Who am I supposed to talk to? Who can't I talk to? And so they reach out sometimes just to get some information and start from there and decide what they want to do. So our job and intake is to give them the idea of what the process looks like, make them sure that they would want to probably have an attorney to help them guide them through the process, have someone explaining things to you. So, it's giving them the kind of the idea of what's going to happen and how to do that.
Because there's a lot of unknowns, right? You've been injured. Like you said, there's papers, documents, things that are getting mailed to you, conversations that are being had that you're just getting pulled left and right. Now, with that in mind, people have questions. Do they usually call right away? Like, I got injured this morning and I'm calling an attorney. What does that look like? At what stage do they decide to make this first call with an attorney's team?
Usually they call after a couple weeks. So I got injured, I reported it, but I haven't heard back. I haven't get paid. I'm not getting treated. I'm the facility, the doctor is telling me you should go back to work, you're fine, but I'm not fine because I'm in pain. So that's usually when I want to say, okay, I think it's time for you. Do not wait longer because they could keep doing this and then you could return to work and you can get re-injured. So you don't want to do that. So, I don't recommend to call the same day that you got injured because we need, to give them some time. It is a very slow process, so you have to be a little bit patient. Sometimes it won't be super quick. But yeah, you can give them time while you start your claim, get treated, and see what's going on. Sometimes you could get better in a day, in a week, or sometimes it could get worse. So
yeah, so that's a very good explanation that you just shared with us in regards to a lot of the people call in after the fact that they've been injured because things are not rolling as they should or as fast as they think they should. You mentioned something along the lines of people are getting sent back to work when they're still not feeling good. How often do you guys get these calls?
Honestly, I think 90% of the times. And as soon as they say, I am in a lot of pain, but the doctor is saying, you're fine, go back to work. And immediately when I hear that, I know who they're talking about.
Oof, it's kind of like,
yeah. I mean, I do ask them, where are you getting treated? And it's always the same.
Yikes. Okay, so let's say someone got injured. What are some of those injuries you mentioned earlier? Like, wait it out. Don't call exactly the first day because one, it's kind of like you got to give them the benefit of the doubt, right? And there's good times for some people. There are truly injured workers that can go through the system, have zero issues, everything runs so smoothly. But I want you to tell us a little bit about what is it that sometimes people need to watch out for? What are those red flags that this is the moment where you maybe think something's not going right and you should be calling an attorney? Because a lot of the people don't know what to expect, right? They believe the doctor. If I were to get injured and the doctor tells me, oh, you should be well to go back to work in a week, I'm going to trust the doctor because he's a doctor. However, I have to listen to my body as well, right? Because my body's
Exactly.
going to tell me otherwise. So, what are some of those red flags that injured workers should look out for? You know, when they need to kind of like hit the alarms and say, hey, you need to call an attorney and have someone back you up because things are not looking so great. Like, what are some of those things?
I would say one of the red flags are when you got injured, you told your employer, and they told you, okay, go to see your doctor. And you go to see your doctor because you don't know what's the process. And then you start getting treated there, but your employer is doing nothing. But it clearly happened at work.
Mm.
Or, for example, you went to the urgent care for workers' comp and they tell you, no, this is not a work injury. You already had that because you had arthritis or because you have, I don't know, you have diabetes. So it's not a work injury. But then the work injury worsened your pre-existing injury. So
Wow. So there's a lot of stuff that kind of dives into that. Which again, if you've been injured at work, I think even if you have questions, right, Laura, they can just call in and get those questions answered and kind of get the information. I mean, there's nothing to lose and so much to gain. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand what to expect in the first call. So, can you walk us through what it's like to, at least at Pacific Workers, what is it like when someone calls in and has an initial call with you guys?
So we want to understand when the injury happened, what happened, what are the body parts injured? Did you report it? Sometimes they don't know they have to report it. You have to report it right away, orally, verbally, writing, whatever, however you want. And so we start a conversation. I ask a couple questions to qualify your case and see if it's something we should take right away because you don't want to lose time, or if it's something we can wait and then I follow up with you in a couple of weeks, in a month or so. So those are the first steps. And if everything goes well, I mean, you can ask a couple of questions, just like Carmen said. You can always call just if you want some information. I can guide you through. Sometimes people don't even know who to talk to. So once you call, you have an idea and then you can start your own process.
Okay, so what are some of the misconceptions injured workers have when they reach out? Like, what do they constantly think they're going to get or they're not going to get? And then they like have this aha moment, like, oh, I didn't know that.
First, they think that because you called our office, you're already contracting our services. Or that, for example, you think we're going to release your information because you called and you're scared of giving your first, last name or employer's name. We won't. It's all confidential. We just want to understand your situation. You're not forced to share everything unless you're ready to go. And yeah, those are the main misconceptions. Sometimes people that are irregular in the country believe that it's something that it's going to affect their status, or like they don't have any rights to get treated because of this. But truth is, it's a non-fault system and you can get treated still, and your situation in the country doesn't have anything to do with your workers' comp case or claim.
Right, because that's like a number one issue, right? A lot of people will probably shy away from even giving information because one, they think that you guys are going to go back to the employer and be like, "Hey, your worker just called us," and The other one, immigration status. Obviously, a lot of people feel like, well, I shouldn't even be working, or I'm working with a false social security. Like, those are separate issues that have nothing to do with the work injury. I think it's also, Laura, it's very important to share that a lot of people just truly kind of are so afraid to speak up because they feel like, this is going to put their information out there. It's going to make them lose their job. It's essentially you putting a lawsuit against your boss or the company that you're working for. Can you explain how that's not the case?
Yes, Carmen. A lot of people think that we are going to sue the company, and they have the misconception that it's their fault. So I want to sue them and I want them to pay. And the one thing that you have to understand is that our law firm takes care of making sure that your rights are being respected directly from the insurance company, not your employer. And if you have a case you want to possibly sue them, then that's another type of law with another type of law firm. But we can definitely help you with your workers' comp side of it, which is making sure everything is taken care of, your medication, your treatment, your lost wages, and yeah, potentially.
Good to know. So let's take it back a little bit to what should I expect if I'm a injured worker and then I decide to call. So obviously you'll explain to me that just because we're having this call doesn't necessarily mean that I'm already hiring you guys or that I'm obtaining your services right then and there. What are some of the things or questions that I might be asked besides obviously the obvious? When did you get injured? What body parts did you injure? What should I come prepared with? Like, what else happens in an intake call?
I want to know exactly when it happened, what happened, who you told to, where did you go? Did you go to see a doctor right away? What did they say? What kind of treatment did they offer you at the moment, or what's next? Do you have a follow-up appointment? Did they give you a claim number? Do you know the name of the insurance? Those are little things. Also, I want to know where it happened, the address where it happened. You don't have to have your claim number right away. Sometimes you don't, but at least have some paperwork with you I can dig into, and I'll figure it out.
Now, when you say you're going to figure it out, what are you going to figure out? You're going to figure out if I'm entitled to workers' comp, or what is it that you're looking for?
First, I want to be sure that there was a report made and that we know who's the insurance company. Even if you don't have the claim number, I can get your claim number, and we need to know if your company has an insurance, that they
And
have
this
a
is
workers' comp
important, right?
insurance.
Because if you don't find them in the system, say I don't know my insurance number, right? Or not my insurance number, but my claim number. And you start asking me these questions and I share this with you, and then you happen to find out that there is no claim even filed for my employer, which is potentially who's supposed to kind of report the injury to the insurance company. You can find that out right away, right?
Yes, with your employer's name, I can find out if they are insured, and then I can find your claim number. If there's no claim number, then we can also help you with that. We can open the claim. If it's been a couple days, a couple weeks, and you haven't heard back, then we can do that.
Okay, which is good, by the way, guys. We've talked about this in other episodes. Sometimes shady employers will not report the injury, will try to pretend like nothing happened. And that's sad because ultimately they're ripping you out of your benefits and your rights and expecting you to pay any further medical treatment out of pocket. So a lot of the times they can use this excuse to kind of like boot you out the door and say, hey, you no longer work here. And then what? What do you do, right? No job, you're injured, you can't go work somewhere else, but you need medical treatment. That can be a very, very dangerous situation for you to be in. So obviously getting in touch with an attorney, they do have the database where they can kind of figure out who's your employer's insurance, as Lara was mentioning, if they even opened a case. And obviously, you do want to retain an attorney if that's your situation. If you've realized, hey, my boss hasn't even reported this to the insurance company, like what? And obviously, those are just some misconceptions and some of the things that happen when you're doing an intake call, because I've actually heard a couple of calls. A lot of the times in my department, We have to kind of figure out what are the pain points that injured workers are going through. So when we come up with blogs and content and things in regards to the podcast, then obviously I can pull some information that is going to be relevant and things that I see patterns on, right? So sometimes I'll jump into the intake calls and I'll listen to them. And I guess I can say a lot of the times people have a misconception, Laura, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that automatically, just because I called, I'm hiring an attorney, I'm going to speak to my attorney and I am going to tell you my entire story right then and there. I think it's very important for injured workers who call in a law firm to understand it's a process. Like, you call in, you speak to someone, they'll kind of tell you, hey, you know what, you really could get more help. Do they or do they not speak to attorneys? Because I've heard other companies that they don't even speak to an attorney when or get their questions answered. Like, they just get retained and they get pushed along in the system, and they don't even get kind of like guided to what to expect. Is that something that happens a lot?
No, actually, we want them to talk to the attorney before signing up, or at least after signing up in a day or two. So they can at least get the welcome call. Even if it's not going to be sharing all the story, the attorney already has some summary of their information and they can talk about, good points about what's the process going to be like, or what they're going to be doing, the first step, that's this first steps that they're going to be doing. So we want the client to talk with the attorney, be sure that moving forward with us is the right thing to do. They won't have any communication issues. That's another thing that we want to always point out, because usually we have clients that are coming from other law firms where they're having issues with their current representation. They don't talk to them. They've never spoken to an attorney, and they have been represented for 6 months, a year. So yeah, we want to point that out, that we have very open communication. We have application. We have our line is 24/7. So it's super easy to communicate.
It's awesome. That is one of the things that does set Pacific workers apart. Communication, right? Text messaging. You can literally download the app on your phone and connect with your team. And I kind of want to pick your brain a little more into, like, how long does this process take? You've already shared with me that you're going to ask questions, just to kind of get as many details as possible for that specific case. And then they get set up with an intro call or a welcome call from the attorney, just to kind of have the attorney give his or her say. And it's not necessarily legal advice, it's more so getting those answers to the questions that are kind of going to guide you whether you should or should not hire an attorney. What is this process? How long does this take? Like,
Well, Carmen, it depends a lot of what kind of questions you have, and if you want to give it all out, and then I know from there. But I could say, once you reach out to us, I get all your information. We can take 30 minutes, 40 minutes in a call sometimes. And then if I have the attorney ready to speak with you on the same day, then we can do that on the same day. And it could be up to an hour total. Well, I send you the retainers, the paperwork, you sign them up, I connect you with the attorney. And once we do that, I always tell my clients, please give me couple days, 2-3 days, while we do the application. If you don't hear back from me in 2 days, don't worry. Make sure you can rest assured that we are in the process of filing your application, notifying the parties involved that you're being represented, so they know that they can reach out to our office. And once I'm done with your application, we will be scheduling an intro call with your legal team. So you will know your assistant, your attorney's assistant, and from there you will know what's next.
awesome. Okay, you talked about some retainer documents. What am I expected to do? Like, if I decide as an injured worker that I do want to hire the law firm, I do sign paperwork right away. Do I have to go into the office? What does this process look like?
Well, every client is different. I've had people that are not very tech savvy and they don't want to sign up over DocuSign. So they say, I feel better going to the office. So I do tell them, I'm not at the office. I can send you paperwork. We can connect in a Zoom call. My colleagues at the office will set you up in a room. We print the retainers, you can sign them up, and I explain every paperwork in the retainers. Some
What's
people, sorry?
what is DocuSign?
So DocuSign is the application where you can sign electronically from your phone, your computer, your iPad, whatever. And once you sign up, we receive a copy of your signed documents. You get your copy, and with the documents, we can work out your application.
Ooh.
So if you don't want to go to the office, you don't want to do DocuSign, we can mail the retainers to your home, and you can mail them back. And yeah, it could take a little bit longer, but it's still safe.
Right. Because there's a lot of people, right, that they actually like to have a hard copy and kind of go over this, have a conversation with their significant other and talk about this decision because it's a huge decision, right? It's obviously something that it's scary because I feel also like one of the misconceptions injured workers have when they call an attorney's office to just get questions answered, they think that you're going to charge them because there are attorneys and certain parts of laws that an attorney needs in advance for them to even kind of get you rolling. And even to get a consultation in other parts of the law, they will charge you for a consultation fee, right? However, in workers' comp, that doesn't happen, right? Do you take their money right away, or how does that work?
So first off, consultation is free, either if it's only with me or we connect the attorney at the moment. It's free. You never paid our services out of pocket. We work in a contingency fee basis, and our payment comes from the settlement, and it's 15% of your settlement. That's the standard award in California. So you're never required anything out of pocket.
Okay, good to know, because I'm like, if I'm not working and if I haven't been working and I'm not
Exactly.
getting money, where am I going to get this money to pay you guys? So, what happens if I decide to hire you guys and I don't have a case after all, or my case gets dismissed, I don't get awarded anything? Then what?
If we fail to recover benefits from you, then we don't get paid. So
Oh, good to know. See, a lot of people don't know that. Okay, so it's a
yes.
contingency-based fee, right? So if you win whatever amount money you collect from the workers' comp, the insurance company has to allocate a certain percentage to your attorney team. So that way it never even comes out of your bank account. Legit, like never. I know I had so many questions, and I'm probably missing some questions that some of you guys might have if you're watching this video or listening to this podcast. We would highly encourage you guys to either hit us up on WorkCompTalk.net so that you guys can submit your questions in that form. The easiest way to get a hold of us is just write on the comments below. We do read the comments, and definitely write out a question that you might have thought, hey, this is really important for me to know, and we could have missed. But Laura, I think, there's a lot of times where injured workers just are too afraid, too nervous to even make the call. What is one tip you can share with whoever's listening to the podcast right now to kind of help ease that nervousness or that fright of, oh my God, I'm obtaining a lawyer? Like, what can you tell them if they're super nervous?
Well, one thing is, I hear you. I understand what you're going through. It's not easy. You're dealing with an injury, you're in pain, and now you have to think about having an attorney because you don't understand what's going on or what to do. So I always want to give them the confidence that they're reaching out to a law firm that actually cares, that we want to hear them story and we want to help them make the best decision. I want to be honest with everyone, every single person that I speak to. Like, if I don't think you need an attorney, I'll let you know. It's not just like we want you, because or also people have that misconception of the attorney just want my money, right? So we want to hear them, and I know that already dealing with a lot of pain it's tough. So you can reach out. You don't have to sign up with us on the same day we talk. I always take even months when once I feel like they're ready and that they're ready, they just reach out and say, yeah, I feel like, thanks so much for following up with me. I feel like Pacific Workers is the right place to go because you're not pushing me, because I feel like I know you, even if we've never met. But, I just want to give them the confidence, no push. It's a tough process. It's not easy to make that decision. If you want to talk to your family before signing up, you can do that always. And yeah, just call us, reach out if you have questions. There's no pressure of signing up on the first call. And yeah, we'll be happy to talk.
Well, I want to thank you, Laura, for this amazing in-depth conversation regarding what to expect when you're calling a law firm. I think we've learned so much today, and I wanted to appreciate you for your time and dedication. Just listening to you makes me feel so like just at ease. Like, okay, cool. I have someone now that is going to handle this whole process so that I can essentially only focus on recovering, because I also feel like if you're juggling both things, right? Trying to understand the system, trying to keep up with the calls and the paperwork and the back and forth, on top of having to heal, dude,
Yeah.
that's a lot. That's like adding more stress over stress. And just listening to you makes me feel so at ease, and I'm appreciative of you. So, Laura, thank you for joining me in this podcast. And for those of you who have someone that you have in mind that has recently been injured and you think that they can benefit off of this podcast or this episode in general, please share this with others. And we will be catching you guys on the next episode of WorkComp Talk. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Carmen, for having me. And yes, please reach out. Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys. Bye.
Bye.